The Dallas Wings had the first overall pick in the draft on Monday, obviously selecting Paige Bueckers. They also selected Aziaha James and Madison Scott as well. This is a team that has gone through a massive overhaul, going all the way back to the beginning of the offseason with bringing in Kurt Miller and a bunch of other players. But Ziggy, how impactful do you think Dallas's rookie class is going to be this season?
I think their rookies are going to be very impactful. First of all, Paige, we know what she can bring to the table. Obviously, she can serve as a primary playmaker. She's not a true point guard, but she's a capable point guard. Remains to be seen. But I think what's interesting with Aziaha James and Madison Scott is that you can use them as well to get some pressure off of Paige's shoulder. You play Paige at the 3, put Madison Scott at the 1, because she's done it in college. She's done it at a very high level. Fun fact, she was top 10 in assists per 40 on my top 10 prospects for the 25 draft class. So you use Madison Scott as a long, tall, athletic point guard, and you give Paige and Enrique some rest. You use Aziaha James as an off-ball shooting guard, which she's elite. She's done a great job with Samaya Rivers at NC State. She was able to get off without having the ball in her hand. So I think Dallas will probably one of the biggest winners in that 2025 draft. So I really like what they've done with those picks. And then you have Aaronette Vonleh. Can she make the team? I think she can, because Dallas has a lot of forwards, but they don't have a lot of true post player besides Tierra McCowan. So you have Aaronette Vonleh coming in, 6'3", very physical, light on her feet, and she came from Baylor. Yeah. Sophia Young-Malcolm was her coach, assistant coach. Nikki Collins was her coach. So she's had some WNBA teaching at Baylor. So I think she'll be able to make an impact in training camp, possibly make the roster.
That's interesting. And I did find the Aziaha James pick really interesting. And I think Dallas is going to be pretty guard heavy in a good way. I like that the Aziaha James pick was like, it was so fascinating. It's like, wow, another bucket. It's like you would think they felt like they had enough scoring offense with Paige, with Enrique already there. Aziaha feels like just an added bonus, just another bucket you can throw in there. I love how you mentioned Madison Scott's abilities as a guard, because now you're not just looking at Paige as the only point guard, the only one who can bring it up, who can lead the offense. You have other options there. You have another scoring option besides Enrique with Aziaha James. And I think Aziaha, Ziggy, I get the sense that she's the type of player, scorer, shot creator that is going to figure things out pretty quickly.
Yeah, on the go,
she's just a natural hooper. And I think she's a rookie. Like I feel like she's going to find her offense fairly quickly.
I think she's going to surprise a lot of people. I agree as well, because she understands what's around her, right? She's a smart basketball player. She knows, okay, Paige is going to be the face of the franchise. Enrique is already here, been here. What can I do to help this squad? I'm a high-level shot maker. So now when I'm on the floor, I'm making shots from 3. Sometimes, one dribble pull up. Now the defense is going to have to be focused on me. And me being dangerous, me making shots, it helps Paige, it helps the team. So I think she's going to figure out quickly. And plus, she plays defense as well, right? Yeah. And going back to Madison Scott, athletic, tall. She's not a pure point guard, but I really think Kurt Miller will be able to use her. I think it's going to sit very quickly in training camp. Okay, we got something pretty interesting there. Dallas really got, I want to say they got blessed with those draft picks. Aziaha James falling to 12. I was surprised. I didn't think Aziaha James was going to go past number 8. I thought she was going to Connecticut. So her going to Dallas, being an added weapon, like you said, she's like the Lou Will of the Dallas Wings. She can be the Lou Will of the Dallas Wings, for real, in her first year.
And Marcus, with Dejanay there, you've got your defensive stopper, and she's been picking up her offense as of late too. So that combination, that guard room is very interesting in Dallas.
And that was my thing, because Martin and I were sitting down, we're watching the draft, and Madison Scott gets drafted, and I'm like, I think that makes perfect sense. Like for starters, right? Madison Scott's versatility is going to be super helpful, and you can see that up and down the team. Like the one thing about hiring, like when the Dallas Wings announced that they were going to hire Kurt Miller as their GM in the offseason, it was like, okay, they've got something really specific planned here, and you can tell that they were trying to, they wanted to kind of changed the way that they did things, right? If you look back last season, I can't think of the stats all the time in my head. I just missed it. But the Wings were amongst the top offenses in the league, like in transition offense. And so what they do, they went out, they traded Kalani Brown, which I'm a big fan of Kalani Brown, so it pained me to see that. They traded Satu Sabally, but you're bringing in Ty Harris, who was great in transition in Connecticut. You're bringing in Dejanay Carrington for the same reasons, right? Now you're bringing in Paige, who we saw what she can do in the open court at UConn. You're bringing in Madison Scott, Aziaha James. You guys, like, this is a team in the Wings that I think is going to probably be one of the more interesting teams to watch, because I don't think we've seen in the WNBA in recent history a team pretty much rebuild their entire roster from ground up in 4 months like this. And you look at it and you don't really have any major concerns that they're not going to be able to go out there and win basketball games, right? The big thing, obviously, for the Wings is going to be health, right? They haven't had the best of injury history over the past couple seasons, but a large part of that was Satu Sabally not being available, right? And so that's no diss at her, but you trade her away and you bring in all these players who are durable, Ty Harris and Dejanay Carrington. We can't forget about Nalissa Smith. Not only is she a good basketball player, she's going to have a lot to prove now outside of Indiana, because she felt slighted, especially in last season with Caitlin coming in. And so you look at that. This is a well put together roster, but just with the rookies specifically, I mean, they even went out there, they drafted JJ Quinterly, another guard. I hope she makes the roster as well, because I think she can be another viable asset in the guard room. Initially, I was like you said, I was a little bit concerned about how many guards they had on this roster. But when you look at how like they all fit, it's like the perfect puzzle. Like they all do something exceptionally well, and you can put any two of them or any three of them really on the floor at the same time, and you're still getting, you're still getting a healthy balance of offense and defense. I love the Wings roster, and I love how well they've put this all together in such a short amount of time. And I think the rookies are just the perfect cherry on top to what they've been doing this offseason.
Yeah, likewise. What you said about JJ Quinterly too it's true. I think Quinterly might have a shot. It's going to be really hard for her because there's so many good guards ahead of her, and also there's a picking order. She got drafted late 27.
Yeah.
But still, when I'm looking at her, gritty two-way guard, like she's ruthless and relentless. Arguably one of the best, if not the best, on-ball and off-ball defender in that draft class. I'm saying arguably because there's a lot of them. But I think, like Kurt Miller's going to look at her in training camp and he's going to scratch his head and say, man, I got some decisions to make. Because that's a play that I could have, in my back pocket, if I need to stop, late in the first quarter, second quarter, even in the fourth quarter, put her on the best offensive player on the other team, get a stop. Help us just alleviate some pressure of Paige, Ty Harris, or Enrique be the primary ball handler. So I think JJ Quinterly also is, she's a joker. And if she doesn't make the cut, you can still have her in the back of her mind. Okay, somebody gets hurt, we bring her in for a 7-day contract. We never know. But I think the Wings had a terrific draft night. I mean, it was pretty incredible. Again, going back to Aziaha James falling at 12, and then Madison Scott. I mean, kudos to them. I think they're going to surprise a lot of people this season.
Zig, what's your feeling and sense on how Paige is going to be in her rookie year? How impactful do you think she will be individually in the WNBA in her rookie year?
I think a lot of people tend to underestimate how good some of those players are and how smart they are, because last year the discourse was, well, Caitlin and Angel are not going to be able to do what they've done in college in the W. Granted, Caitlin and Angel were outliers, and Paige is an outlier as well. She's one of the smartest basketball players out there. She's able to adapt to any kind of system, and I think she's going to be able to fit perfectly with Enrique. She knows Enrique was the main show coming in those years, so she's going to be able to first take a back seat, coming in slowly, and then insert her own dominance. I think Enrique is smart too. She understands, listen, I've been here for a while, but this new blood coming here, she brings a lot of excitement. She brings a lot of scoring, efficient scoring. If I'm not mistaken, I don't have the numbers, but Paige, I think, was either the most efficient player this season or one of the two most efficient. I think Yana Nipkins was very efficient as well this season. But you bring in a player like her who can play make, can make shots, can play without the ball, with the ball. I mean, I personally think that Paige is going to be Rookie of the Year. That's my sentiment. I don't see anybody else in that draft class who's going to have as much responsibilities as Paige will be required to, this coming in this season. Malonga, we're going to talk about her later on, but, she has some really good vets ahead of her. She's going to play some meaningful minutes, but not as many minutes as Paige. Paige is coming in to start. Paige is coming in with the expectation to help win basketball games. So I think Paige is gonna be just fine. I think obviously you got to adapt a little bit, physicality, athleticism.
Sure.
You know, it took Caitlin a few games to do that. Same with Angel, but once those girls get rolling, it's they've done that their whole life. Basketball is just basketball at the end of the day.
That's really well said on like how smart Paige is. I think that's a really big point because she's going to know how to feel out her spots. Like watching her at UConn, you see how she doesn't force things. Like Marcus and I have had conversations about Paige where not in total comparison to Caitlin, but just like her nature is very unselfish. You know,
Right.
you don't see her taking a whole lot of shots, a whole lot of deep threes. Her game isn't like very loud, but this year in the NCAA tournament, she went all out, and you kind of got to see her get back to like volume Paige a little bit more. So she still has that in her. But I think your point is so valid and so well said in that she's going into that situation. She's such a high IQ basketball player. She knows who Enrique is. She know and even like the stories about what the kind of teammate and person she is. She's not coming in, to take all of this attention. She's not a center of attention type of personality.
We saw it on draft night.
Saw it on draft night. She's not coming in to just take the thing over. She's going to feel out her spots, take her time, but also be aggressive as they need her to be. And I think that's so well said. I think she's going to feel things out and figure things out. And the group she has around her, Enrique, Dejanay, Nalissa, good experienced players who have done it at different levels, scorers, defenders. Like I think it's looking like almost the perfect situation for her to thrive right away.
No, absolutely. And to the point you made, Paige can be aggressive at times, but she also, like you said, she knows when to take a step back. We saw it in the national championship game, right? AZ was going off. She kept giving the ball to AZ. She kept trying to play through AZ, and she kind of like took a step back, and she wasn't making a lot of shots. So she deferred to AZ and to Sarah Strong. So I think that's going to be one of her main strengths. She knows when she has to try to take over and maybe trying to force the issue. But if one of her teammates is in one of that zone, she's going to go ahead and pass the ball and make sure that teammate is going to go, carry the team. So I think that's going to make Dallas very dangerous. You got Paige Bueckers is willing to give 10 assists, willing to give up on shots, to let some of her teammates take the scoring load. That's a dangerous team. That's a dangerous team.
Yeah. It's also going to be interesting, Marcus. Like Paige as a defender is something that you have to take note of. Like her, it's not like Zig. She's, super quick and fast and like locks people up like a Hannah Hidalgo. It's more about like her length, her timing for deflections, even block shots. She reads things defensively. And so while she adapts to quickness and timing and strength and stuff, again, not to just directly compare it to Caitlin, but we know Paige as a better defender, as a more mindful defender. And I think that's going to help her too. Because even if she's not totally productive and explosive offensively right away, I think she's going to be making plays defensively almost right away because she's that good on defense.
Absolutely.
I do think, to your point about the defense, I mean, again, like you couldn't have asked for a more perfect situation, right? Like Paige is already talking about like potentially leading the league in assists. It's like one of the first things she said she got drafted with all the players around the offense. But defensively, again, like Enrique, we talked about on the show, Enrique was after the end of last season was the second player ever to have a triple digit steal season. She had like 100-something steals. The only other person to do that was Teresa Weatherspoon, right? So you've got that. We know like the premise of Dejanay Carrington's most improved player season was how much better she got defensively with seatbelt season. I still think she probably should have won defensive player of the year. But I mean, like that's another good defensive player. You're talking about Madison Scott, who's good defensively. If JJ Quinterly, like this isn't just like offensively, you look at this for Paige and like, oh, like she's going to have a lot of different places to go as far as being able to defer. You're talking about being in the backcourt alongside, the second, third, first best scorer, and however you kind of want to line that up for Enrique. But then defensively, with all these guards defensively, that she would have the opportunity to, like you said, Martin, learn that getting better with the strength and the timing and being able to become more of a defender. Because I even said, and I don't know if you remember this, Martin, when I was doing that thing where I was like talking about before the lottery happened, the potential picks and who can go where. One thing I mentioned pretty early on is we love talking about Paige offensively, but I feel like she's underrated defensively because she's not out here like racking up blocks and racking up steals and things, but she just uses that great basketball IQ to her advantage on the defensive side of the ball. Again, I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but I think I'm not sure if and again, not to compare it to Caitlin, but I'm not sure because we've seen it more so this offseason. I'm not sure of the last time we saw a team prepare a roster specifically for their first overall pick as well as the Dallas Wings have.
Yeah.
Like Kurt Miller was very, and that's why I'm saying like that was a massive hire for them because they knew going into it, they had a shot to get Paige. And if they're going to get Paige, they need to build a roster that's suitable to her strengths and her weaknesses. And Kurt Miller did an excellent job doing that, where you don't just have a situation where Paige can kind of ease into it, right? Whereas Caitlin kind of couldn't have eased into it because she was like, as Martin said, she was the point guard, she was the shooter, she was the passer.
She was everything.
She had to be everything right away because they hadn't really flushed that roster out. Kurt Miller did Paige a massive, massive, massive favor, if you will, by really flushing out this roster. Where if the first couple games Paige isn't out here like lighting the world on fire, it's not gonna the world because there's other capable players on this team who can do that while she's easing in. This is going to be great for Paige. It's going to be great for Madison Scott if she makes the roster. It's going to be great for Aziaha James as well. Like, again, this is a perfectly flushed out roster. I don't think this could have been I don't think any other team would have done put Paige in a better situation than what Kurt Miller did for Paige going into her rookie season. I love it so much.
Yeah. And lastly, I think it just has to be said that the vibes are always a thing. You know, I'm big on vibes, Marcus. Dejanay and Nalissa being a couple on the same team, that it's like one of the league's favorite couples. That's got to be something. Now, there could be an adverse reaction to that, where if there's trouble at home, that's right. That's the only way it can backfire because relationships are great, but if there's turmoil, that that could be one of their downfalls. Have nothing to do with basketball. You know what I'm saying? But as long as the vibes are good, that's gonna be a fun team to watch. Like a lot of allyship, a lot of love wins, all that good stuff. So yeah, good vibes in Dallas.